Council.
I like that.
John Wagner can't be here. He had a operation, so I'll be speaking for him. I'm George Johnson. I'm president of Ashby Local 1360, City of Akron employees, part of the sponsoring committee, which also consists of the National Action of Network, Northeastern Ohio, American Friends and Service Committee, as well as the United Citizens Coalition, Akron African American Front. As you guys know, there's a job crisis in Ohio and in this country. In June, the job numbers and unemployment numbers rose from the May's job percentages and unemployment percentages. In 84 counties out of the 88, it went from 8.9% up from 2.9% in May. The unemployment rate rose from 9.7 up from 8.9 out of the May numbers. The numbers of those unemployed are really worse than that because they do not show the unemployed that are no longer looking for employment. The underemployed, individuals who couldn't find full-time positions but accepted part-time positions. People can't pay their mortgages. People can't pay their grocery bills, make their car payments. It's just a tragic situation that we're living in today. The private sector is not creating jobs.
Nope. Well, they created $3 an hour. So since we have an emergency in this area, this bill, House Bill 271, one of the sponsors here is Mike Foley. Thank you, Mike.
Will create a public job program within Public Works, similar to the WPA of the 1920s and the CETA program, which got me my full-time position with the City of Akron back in 1980. So we have some speakers here tonight that's going to talk about this Senate bill and what we can do in Summit County and hopefully get a push in other counties and in this state to be able to get this bill moving through the legislature and get some people working. And with that, Pastor Butts is not here, so I'm going to turn it over to John Fuller.
I'll just take a few minutes to share a few things with you. The Senate bill that's being proposed now does have a historical precedent, so it's not something that's completely new in terms of what has been done before. As George was just saying, the state of Ohio currently has an unemployment rate of 16% when you factor all the other things that he was talking about in there. This exceeded the unemployment rate for 9 of the 12 years during the Great Depression. So to address high unemployment over the last 76 years, we have seen the following federal government-sponsored programs. One, the WPA. On May the 6th, 1935, the Work Progress Administration under FDR was established to provide economic relief. Millions of workers were hired to carry out public work projects to include the construction of public buildings, roads, and operate art, drama, media, and literacy projects. Federal, state, and local government work together to implement these programs. Secondly, we have the CETA program. This is the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act, was enacted in 1973 to train workers and provide them with jobs in public services. This program provided work for low-income and long-term unemployment, as well as summer jobs for low-income high school students. CETA was actually an extension of the WPA program from the 1930s. And I can tell you that many City of Akron employees were hired through the CETA program. The third program was the Job Training Partnership Act that was enacted in 1982. This program was again designed to provide federal assistance programs to prepare youth and adults for entry into the labor market and to provide job training for individuals facing chronic unemployment. Program components included employment for Native Americans, migrant workers, summer jobs for high school students, as well as jobs for Native Americans and migrant workers, as well as dislocated workers, especially during the 1980s when we began to see the closing of the rubber industry in this city. So many of those workers were trained through the CETA program and were provided employment through this program. So we say all this to say what? We say this to say that the cutting taxes for corporations and rich people and slashing domestic spending, domestic programs in this country, that somehow those things are going to create jobs is a bunch of pure nonsense.
That's right.
The other thing that we need to say about that is voodoo economics didn't work under the Reagan administration, nor has it worked under any other Republican administration.
You're right about
that's been
that.
in office.
You're right.
So we definitely need to enact the jobs program in Ohio that this gentleman is sponsoring. Thank you for your time.
For a description of the bill, we have Bobby Simpson, president of the ACME, I almost said ASHME, and the Action Charter of the National Action Network.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out. And I thank you guys for coming out.
Good evening, young lady.
And I thank you for allowing democracy to work. We have a lot of legislation that goes out and about without any consulting of the citizens who it may affect. So I applaud you today for being here and allowing democracy to work. And what I mean when I say he's allowing democracy to work is a democracy is a system of government where governance is by the people or working with the people. We have an electorate where we elect, but we should all be working together to work on what works for us. So I want to thank you for inviting us in on this piece of legislation that affects so many of us. And the way I understand it and the way I've read it is with the current cuts as they are right now that Governor Kasich has made, it has made for a surplus, which means there's extra money.
That governor's a crook.
And so with the extra money that is available, what House Bill 271 will do, or what they're proposing that it does, is create more jobs. So while there are cuts on the one hand, there's job creation on the other hand. And I only have a few concerns as it relates to some of the language in the bill that I read. And it's a common problem that I see in a lot of legislation that goes forth. Oftentimes there are, and I'm going to go to contracting. I'm not sure if we have any contractors in the room, but I know with a lot of contractors, there are what they used to call set-asides and things like that for minority businesses. And a lot of minority businesses have been hoodwinked and kind of played.
Excuse me, I can't really hear you with this man talking.
John,
Could you please stop talking on the phone?
What's wrong with you?
Thank you.